Today, we're flying on one of the most bizarre transatlantic airline operations I've come across yet. We're flying on Poland's LOT Airlines Boeing 777. Wait, what? LOT doesn't have any 777s? Well, actually, we're technically flying on a small charter airline, and tonight, it's going to be used as a regular airline across the Atlantic. Privilege Style is a small ACMI and charter carrier based in Spain that's flown everything from sports teams and government charters to special missions all around the world. Most people have probably never even heard of them. They don't sell tickets to the public, and they also don't have a regular route network like all the other boring long-haul airlines. But today's different. Officially, this is technically a LOT Polish Airlines flight, but the airplane, the cabin, and pretty much this entire experience, maybe even the meals, that's all privilege style. So for one flight across the Atlantic, we're getting to use a small charter airline exactly as if it were a normal airline. No sports charter, no government mission, no fancy tour package, just a regular passenger and regular economy flying across the Atlantic on privilege style. The airline might be small, but the airplane isn't. The plan today is to take the Boeing 777-200 all the way from New York's JFK Airport over to Warsaw, and see what happens when a charter airline is asked to do the job of a major flag carrier. So, is this gonna feel like a normal airline operation, or just a giant charter flight across the ocean? What's going on, guys? Casey Flower here. We're at JFK Terminal 1, and let's go see what it's like to fly on a giant private charter plane that's being used as a regular airliner. Let's go check in. Not without a quick visit to JFK's iconic TWA hotel before departure. Checking into any LOT Polish international flight touches all the bases. Since LOT is a Star Alliance member, it will ask you for your loyalty program number, but after confirming all the personal info, we'll then give it my passport info. You guys don't need to see that. But after confirming we aren't a safety hazard and our seats, the boarding pass has arrived. Okay, what the heck is this operation? Who the heck is Privilege Style? I was wondering the same thing before I booked this. I don't know who they were either. But yeah, basically Privilege Style is just an ACMI charter airline from Spain, and they just do all sorts of charters. So anything ranging from government charters to sports charters, maybe some evacuation flights. Basically, if anyone anywhere in Europe, most likely Europe, if anyone anywhere needs an aircraft for whatever one-off reason, they can get a privilege style charter to do that. But what can also happen in some cases is regular airlines, like LOT Polish in this example, Finnair, Iberia, any big European flag carrier, if they are short on inventory and still need aircraft to fill the spaces of routes and flight operations, if they're short on aircrafts and need extra aircraft to fill those, then they can do a wet lease, and some of them charter with privilege style and use privilege style's aircrafts to fly those routes that are kind of left blank by that aircraft shortage that some flag carriers may have. And this is one of them. The LOT Polish flight we're taking across the Atlantic tonight is in fact one of them. So basically, it's a privilege style flight, privilege style crew, privilege style aircraft, maybe hoping privilege style meals, so we can try those and see what those are all about. But it's just covered in LOT Polish branding. LOT Polish Airlines is pretty much just trying to cover it up as their own flight. But yeah, LOT Polish Airlines is selling the flight. They're selling the tickets. They're branding themselves at the airport. They are marketing everything with the flight, and they're doing all the customer relations at the airport. But yeah, the aircraft itself is privilege style. So it's a privilege style operation, and they're operating this LOT Polish flight because LOT Polish is short and does not have aircrafts of their own to do it. Speak of the devil. There's the quote-unquote LOT Polish 777 pulling into the gate right from Warsaw. Echo Charlie Oscar Juliet Lima is the 20-year-old 777 that Privilege Style uses for these LOT flights. She was delivered brand new to Air New Zealand in January of 2006 as Zulu Kilo Oscar Kilo Charlie. then home to privileged style in August of 2024 as Oscar Echo India India Lima, and then switched to its current Spanish registration in February of 2025. Alrighty, she's parked. And fast forward an hour, we're about 10 minutes out from boarding. To pass the time during that turn, I went ahead and went up and grabbed some snacks. I got a hot dog from a concession stand, a bit of a hot dog stand that is at the boarding area, as well as a water from a Hudson newsstand to kind of keep me somewhat alive through this long haul, and a Dunkin' that's on the other side of Terminal 1. But yeah, she's parked, and I'm not gonna lie, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb on the ramp. Just this massive unmarked 777 with a few patterns on it, surrounded by all of the regular airlines with the regular markings of a normal airline with their respective airlines brands and titles and markings and all that on it. But nope, we're just this unmarked 777 sitting at a gate that's doing the flight of a regular airline. But yeah, it was kind of cool seeing some people even come up to the window and take photos of it after it parked, because they weren't expecting that big, not private jet, but private jet, basically. To them, it was kind of a private jet because it has no markings and it has patterns on it. But yeah, they just weren't expecting that to pull up, which is understandable. They're expecting just a regular LOT Polish 787. But yeah, there is going to be privileged style flight crew on board. I watched them board, but the ground crew that's going to be helping us board and on the ramp. So the ground crew are actual LOT Polish ground crew. Also because they're doing the other LOT flight that left a couple hours ago. But yeah, as far as on board goes, I have absolutely no idea what to expect, and we're going to keep it that way. I want to be surprised. I want to board, step on, and make that right turn, and be surprised with what I see. So no additional research has gone into this at all. But yeah, they're just starting to line up now, and I'll go ahead and catch you guys at the seat. After playing around in the waiting game in line in the jet bridge, I did eventually step on board to wait in line some more to get to my seat. But after making a hike back with more than enough stops, I made it back to the shining bright lights of 49A. We got a width of 18 inches, a pitch of 32 inches for legroom, which is 1 point on my seat to the same point of the seat in front of me, and a recline of 5. The headpiece in the back of the seat is also LOT branded as opposed to privilege style branded. Alright, welcome aboard the Privilege 777 over to Warsaw. My first impressions on the seat so far, yeah, it's pretty standard to economy on a full-service flag carrier. The good news is that we do have the entertainment amenities, so we have in-seat power as well as an IFE, a seat back monitor. But the bad news about the in-seat power, it's only USB-A. So if you have anything like a Type-C cord, or you don't have USB-A and need a universal power outlet, then you're out of luck there. It's not very accessible, so the only thing it really has is the USB-A and the IFE. I couldn't find any universal power under the seat or around it that I could really find. But yeah, we do have some sort of in-seat power, so it's better than nothing in the IFE. So we'll check out the IFE once we get airborne and what it's got. How good it is, how fast it is, how nice it is, how extensive it is, all that. But yeah, as far as the seat goes, the dimensions are okay. The legroom isn't the best. We got about 32 inches down there, like 31 to 32, which is standard for regular economy. But yeah, the bottom of the seat extends pretty low, so that makes it a bit more difficult to like stretch out. But yeah, thickness and cushioning is alright. Width is alright. There is some wear and tear that's pretty obvious, and that's kind of the first thing I noticed when I got on. But yeah, it's alright. It's not going to be at every seat. I don't think they maintained a whole lot of it, and there's still a bunch of wear and tear. But yeah, as you can tell, they're playing the announcements. Yeah, there are absolutely endless announcements during pre-flight, so I wasn't able to get everything I wanted for the seat in without getting interrupted. But even then, I probably wouldn't be able to get a proper seat introduction in without getting anything in the background. Also, as it turned out, the cabin crew on here was quite literally half privilege style and half LOT, so far the operation was quite literally a little bit of both. Alright friends, we are airborne out of Kennedy and on our way over to Warsaw. Just after departure, the cabin crew came through with two pretty small basket services. One of them had LOT Polish branded wipes and the other one was LOT Polish branded earbuds. So yeah, just two very small amenities to help us a tiny bit through the red eye. We could use the earbuds for the IFE, which we'll check out here in a bit. But yeah, speaking of the IFE a little bit, and the entertainment, the NC power for me just completely quit working. The cabin crew turned off the NC power before takeoff, which is fine, I get that. But mine at least hasn't come back on at all, which isn't ideal whatsoever. But yeah, I do have my power bank and I can use that for now, and that's fine for the time being. But that's gonna run out eventually, and I'm gonna have to need actual power. That's not from just my power bank. But yeah, not ideal. I tried asking one of the crew members and she said it was something regarding a power source. I really didn't catch any of it, but yeah, I tried, A for effort. But yeah, there's also no Wi-Fi, so I tried to go into my Wi-Fi settings and connect to something both on the ground and in the air, and in both scenarios nothing came up, so we'll be disconnected. So yeah, you have the possibility of not having power and no Wi-Fi, so yay to that. But yeah, apart from that, on the ground, the ground crew out the gate, when I went over to get my paper boarding pass printed out, because I didn't do that when I checked in. They wanted me to get it printed out and use that to board. But yeah, they wanted to move me up and give me a little bit of an upgrade, since there would be a little bit more legroom up front and I wouldn't have any seatmates since this isn't a full flight. But I wanted my wing view back here, so I'm like, nope, it's okay, I want to keep my seat. I want to keep 49A. I don't want that 1 more inch of legroom or no seatmates. I want to keep 49A. And they're like, oh, okay, whatever. You do you. But yeah, I wanted a 49A because of the wing view, which I can't complain. It is very nice out there. But yeah, we do technically have a pillow and blanket in a bag, and that was waiting for us on the seat when we first got here. But I don't know how much you're going to want to use that blanket, just because the cabin's pretty toasty and there's no overhead ventilation. This cabin's pretty old school and we don't got no ventilation overheads, which also isn't great. But yeah, one of the things with this old classic cabin that doesn't make it as nice. But yeah, we do got the pillow, which is super nice and definitely helps with the red eye. I didn't love the legroom down there at first, but it's kind of growing on me now. The bottom of the seat extends a tiny bit low, which limits the room a little bit to stretch out, but I mean, the legroom's growing on me. It's okay for now. I can fall asleep with it. It's not the end of the world. It's alright. But yeah, the cabin crew are right now coming through with a drink service, so we'll go ahead and grab some from that. I went ahead and opted for a Coke Zero, and I asked to see what the other options were. Since we don't have a menu that tells us that, you have to actually initiate and ask a crew member what they have. But yeah, so basically the options were a handful of pretty good juice options: wine, I would think beer, water, and Sprite. But yeah, they got all the basics. But yeah, I went ahead and opted for a Coke Zero, and they will be back here with the mirror service momentarily. Thank you so much. Alright, the LOT Polish catering gods have graced us with a dinner service on the privileged style 777. This is LOT Polish catering. Not only does the logo on the silverware and plastic on the plates give it away, but they also use the same catering that regular LOT Polish Airlines uses at JFK. But yeah, the options were either going to be a chicken dish or a pasta dish. I was hungry for pasta, so I opted for the pasta. So, Exhibit A, we got the pasta itself here. Yeah, for lack of a better word, looks kind of colorless, kind of tasteless. Not gonna lie, I don't love how this looks, but that's the pasta. Exhibit B, we got the bread here. An airline meal service is not an airline meal service without the bread. Exhibit C, a pastry here. Looks alright. Exhibit D, we got a first bowl, cup, plate, bowl of fruit. And E, a second bowl of fruit right here. And then they actually gave us 2 drinks. So here was the Coke Zero I got in the initial drink service that they did to the Coke Zero. And then they offered a second drink in the actual meal service. So yeah, I just asked for water. Despite having all the soda, juice, and alcohol options, I just asked for water with that. But yeah, let's go ahead and see if that pasta actually tastes dry and tasteless. Yeah, no, I was right. It's insanely tasteless. Zero taste whatsoever. The noodles themselves have zero taste whatsoever. Okay, the pastry is a little bit better, but not by a whole lot. It still doesn't have that much taste, but it has a tiny bit more taste than the pasta did. So yeah, hopefully the breakfast service later is somewhat better and has more taste to it. But yeah. But anyway, since we got our dinner, let's go ahead and see what's on TV. Go into settings, all the basics, crew call, reading light, brightness, volume, all that. Go into the movies and TV, new releases, not a whole lot. Go into the movie classics, that's where all the good stuff is. Minecraft movie, Aladdin, if that's your thing. It's an alright selection. They got pretty much most of the essentials. Yeah, it's pretty good. Devil Wears Prada, not quite Devil Wears Prada 2 yet. It'd be funny to see that, but that gets on there. But yeah, it's got the essentials for movies. Not a whole lot, but definitely gets the job done for a 9-hour flight. Especially 12 hours, closer to 13 hours for the longer flights that LOT Polish does. But yeah, as far as the TV goes, not terrible. Could be a little better. Yeah, I mean, all of these are just single 20-minute episodes of TV shows, which is okay and sufficient for a longer flight, but it's not that many shows, and only a few episodes per show. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it barely gets the job done. As long as it has a show you like and what you want to watch. As long as it has your comfort show, then I think you're good. But yeah, that's movies and TV, music, if that's your thing. Yeah, there's music, it exists. We also got the progress bar down there in the bottom center. So 5 hours and 32 minutes left from JFK to Washington. Kidding, Warsaw. So yeah, that's all we got left. And yeah, they're starting to dim the lights, which I think that is my cue to try and get some rest and try to shut my eyes. So yeah, I am gonna also try to get my phone to charge a little bit. My battery pack is almost halfway dead anyway, and my NC power still isn't working. So yeah, I'm gonna maybe get some shots and time lapse outside of the night sky, and I'll catch you guys with an update here in a few hours. Good morning. The sun is up and we have just under 4 hours left in the flight. And honestly, I actually got a pretty good amount of rest in the past hour or two as the sun came up. The amount of seat recline we have is mostly the thing responsible for putting me to sleep and letting me rest. So much so that legroom isn't really a problem anymore. I know I was talking about the legroom down there and how it wasn't much, and that the low part on the seat in front of me was taking away how much legroom I had. But now that I'm actually sitting back and fully reclined in the seat and relaxed, my legs are like in the lowest position, and that low point on the seat taking away legroom isn't really interfering with that. So yeah, the seat recline is doing great at letting me rest and putting me to sleep. But yeah, very easy to rest, and I think this standard economy seat does a great job at letting you sleep, so absolutely no complaints there. On the downside, we still have no NC power, so I have no NC power, and my seatmate has no NC power, so yeah, not ideal. Still using my power bank. It's not dead yet, but it's definitely getting there, and I don't have the highest hopes of it actually making it until we land. So yeah, I'm gonna try to conserve battery, so I'll probably catch you guys when they start the breakfast service. And just as I thought, the power situation couldn't get any worse. My charging cord decided to put this on me. Just my luck. But yeah, somehow I was able to salvage it by kind of putting it back together and getting my phone to slowly charge somehow. My power bank is practically dead by now, so I'm just hoping that my phone can last the 80% that it's on up until landing and arrival and all that. So yeah, that's nice since there's no NC power and there's never been NC power. But yeah, the crew is going to start the breakfast service and a second drink service. So they just started rolling the cards through for that now. But in terms of rest, yeah, this seat provided amazing rest, if I'm being completely honest. I didn't really end up needing the pillow and blanket at all for it. The walls of the cabin actually ended up being fine. But yeah, the recline of the seat ended up being just that good to let me recline and rest and put me to sleep, which ended up being amazing. Either that, or I'm just that sleep deprived and I'm just that good at sleeping on planes. But yeah, either or, it ended up working out, and resting ended up being my primary form of passing time. But yeah, overall, I think the economy seat was pretty good at giving you rest and letting you sleep. But yeah, they are rolling through with the breakfast and drink service. Both are complimentary, of course, goes without saying. But the dinner meal service we had earlier was also complimentary. Everything we've seen up to this point has been complimentary. So I'll go ahead and meet you guys with the breakfast service and we can see what's for breakfast. Our breakfast has technically been served. The crew came by with a cold tomato and avocado sandwich. I passed on that, so I didn't eat it. I just gave it back to them when they came through with a trash run. But with the drink service, I opted for a Sprite out of that. Bit of a pre-arrival soda there. But yeah, also in both drink services, there's also coffee, which doesn't come as much surprise. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but there was also a duty-free service after the dinner service they did. So it was the main dinner service, the duty-free, and the breakfast service is what they did. So that is all good. But yeah, we have about 45 minutes left until landing, so I'll go ahead and catch up with you guys once we get closer to top of the sun. Alright, welcome to the rear review on the Privileged Style 777-200. Honestly, a couple wear and tear spots, but apart from that, the Lu's starting to win me over regarding how the overall cabin and seat area looked. We got a kind of a sad little rose there lying down, so not ideal. We got a sink with some torn up towels. We got the sky over here, even though the window should be over there, but we got this guy over here. We got the Lu itself with a flight attendant call button. But yeah, it's nice. It's presentable. More than presentable, actually. Yeah, pretty standard Lu, with some pretty cool touches like that rose and this dude over here trying to hitch a ride. But yeah, we are at top of the descent into Warsaw, so let's go head down. Alright, the engines are spooling back. I can feel the vertical speed decreasing, and we have started our descent down into Warsaw. Overall, the flight, of whether this is more of a privileged style flight or a LOT Polish flight, as mentioned, the aircraft itself is privileged style. The crew is mostly privileged style. Half of the cabin crew are privileged style and the pilots are privileged style. But it just feels like that LOT is forcing it to be its own flight. The catering is LOTs, some of the branding here and there is LOTs, like the headphones, the cleaning wipes, the headrest back here. That's all LOTs. So in reality, all this is a privileged style flight, but it's just forced to be a LOT flight, and LOT is just forcing its marketing and branding into it. The cabin is privileged style, and the IFE is privileged style, all that. But yeah, on the rest of the way into Warsaw, I'm going to use that time to rate the flight in the airline using my channel original rating system. I call it the Raleigh rating scale, very creatively named.
I can see right now.
Thank you so much, man.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I love when that happens. In the middle of filming that last segment, and the purser came through and handed me LOT goodies. So yeah, saw me filming, noticed my interest in the operation, and handed me some LOT goodies. So we got a little stuffed birdie here holding a beach ball with the LOT marketing on it, as well as a I love LOT remove before flight tag. So yeah. But yeah, we're going to use the rest of the flight time on the way in to rate the flight in the airline using my channel original rating system. I call it the Raleigh rating scale, very creatively named because my first name is Raleigh. If you're new here, I use this scale to rate all of the flights and airlines I take at the end of every one of my airline reviews. It has 6 different categories to see how well the airline did at each of the 6. But if you're not new here, good job. Congratulations, you made it this far in the video. How do you think LOT Polish and privileged style did today? Well, let's go land in Warsaw and find out. This service was a 10 out of 10, as both crews from LOT and privileged style took great care of us despite all the cabin announcements in the beginning. If anything, this shows that they were quick and efficient with getting us out as soon as possible, and that they cared. During the drink service, a privileged style cabin crew member was able to specify what drink she was serving to make up for not having a menu. When the first main meal came around, they kindly offered me a third drink after that second one, which was the water. They were also efficient and thorough with a breakfast service that was 90 minutes from landing. They were friendly, and all of the services from the main meals to the LOT branded headphones and the wipes were more than enough to take care of us for the long haul. Also, shout out to that purser who noticed my interest in the operation and gave me those LOT goodies at top of the scent. The cleanliness was a 4 out of 10, as the cabin was very old school to begin with, and that was one of the first things I noticed when I walked in. The overall cabin atmosphere was fine, but if we go to the seats, that's where it really shows. They were very dirty, and saying that there was wear and tear would be an understatement. With flying on an airline called Privilege Style, and having the livery look how it is, it's pretty fair to expect a beautiful high-end interior, and with that expectation, the state of the cabin was a major letdown. The Wi-Fi was a 0 out of 10, as none was available. The food was a 2 out of 10, as all the catering was LOTs and not Privilege Styles. The pasta for dinner was fulfilling, but had no taste. The pastry that came with the dinner was a little bit on the cold side, and had something for the aftertaste at least. I also appreciated the thought of a breakfast service, but all that was a cold tomato and avocado sandwich, and some may be pleased to hear that I gladly passed on that. The entertainment was a 3 out of 10, as the only entertainment thing that the airline provides to keep us busy that's kinda guaranteed to work is that seatback monitor. It had an okay amount of movies for the long haul flight with most of the essentials. It could use a lot more TV series though, and an actual flight map. There is technically USB-A in the monitor, but that's all it is. There's no universal outlet or Type-C, so it's not very accessible. It also probably won't even work anyway, since it didn't for me or my seatmate, so definitely don't rely on it working, and there's also no Wi-Fi available. The seat was an 8 out of 10, as it was the standard 4-service economy seat. The cushioning and overall dimensions were fine, and the mediocre legroom grew on me, as the recline felt amazing. The recline allowed me to sit back and fall asleep, and I didn't even need the pillow or blanket that were provided. The seat did pretty good at giving me rest, and it was my primary way of passing time. The letdown was just the in-seat power physically being present, but to fake us out, it ended up being practically non-existent. So the overall rating for the flight is going to be a 4.5 out of 10.
Good one. I'll see you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Alright, and welcome to Warsaw. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my review on the Privilege Style / LOT 777 as much as I did on the flight. My final thoughts on it, honestly, all it was, how I see it, bottom line, was that it was a regular Privilege Style flight, but LOT was just forcing it as their own and just forcing their marketing and branding into it and just making it their own, and that was all they were doing. The seat ended up being okay. The recline was really good. Legroom ended up being okay. The entertainment screen, that was okay. Could be better. There could be more TV shows to choose from, but I think I got the job done. I really got screwed over by that in-seat power. There's only the USB-A, and I guess it could work sometimes at some points at some seats, but with me and my seatmate, they didn't work for either of ours, which is not ideal. So I just ended up using my power bank, which is dead by now, which also isn't ideal. But yeah, I also need a new charging cord now because mine decided to break on that flight. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign off now, get myself a new charging cord, and I look forward to bringing you guys on the next airline, on the next adventure. Bye for now.